I'm wearing my Dallas Cowboys jacket, but you don't have to like the Cowboys or care about the NFL or football at all for this episode to be relevant to you. I think the NFL announcers have done a fantastic job in recent years of telling stories about who the players are, in addition to sharing game stats and career highlights. Simply from a strategic marketing perspective, it's a really smart way to get more casual fans invested and engaged in a team and in the NFL more generally. It's part of a broader strategy that merits a deep dive of its own. Stay tuned. But as someone who personally sucks at marketing, I've been overall impressed. I went through a sports betting phase back in my early 20s, but I dropped it as part of my ongoing commitment to eliminate my vices. But this, combined with the NFL's tightening of the rules around celebrations in around 2013, I think, which to me, those celebrations are such a joyful and hilarious part of the game, but I digress. That resulted in me mostly checking out for the regular season games for several years. But they've brought the humanity back to the game, and I checked back in and became a full-time fan again. I dig when they have former refs explain the nuances of the rules and borderline calls, since I never played the game myself, obviously. I dig the stylized licensed merch that appeals to younger women. If it seems like the announcers have been given more freedom to joke around with each other and to let their own personalities shine through. Seeing celebrities and influencers at games honestly doesn't really do anything for me personally, but I get why they emphasize it. And again, I genuinely dig the Netflix and Amazon documentaries about the players and their on-air stories about how they and the coaches arrived to where they are today. Anyway, one of the stories that has stuck with me is Brandon Aubrey, who's now the kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. He's a fellow Notre Dame grad who played men's soccer rather than football while at the university. After graduating, he played professionally for a couple of years, in soccer that is, but his pro career didn't click the way he'd hoped, and he started working as a software engineer in Dallas. One day, while he was in his normal guy career, he was watching football with his wife, and the kicker missed. His wife said 4 simple words: "You could do that." And he thought, maybe I could. And he went out to a practice field to see if he had a knack for it. Here's the part that usually gets glossed over pretty quickly. The multiple years of working his butt off to improve that ensued while he was still holding down his normal guy job. He did not just jump from his couch to the Dallas Cowboys lineup overnight or in a year. 2019 was when that initial "you could do that" spark was lit. From 2019 to 2022, he hired a professional kicking coach who trained and prepared him to play for multiple sessions a week over several years before he was drafted by the Birmingham Stallions to the USFL. And then he had to prove himself with the Stallions before the Cowboys took note. Now he's a respected 3-time All-Pro kicker and the highest paid kicker in NFL history with a $28 million extension deal with the Cowboys. Now, I absolutely love this story, not just because he was able to achieve such a remarkable career pivot, but because of those 4 to 5 years of work where success was far from guaranteed, and yet he persisted anyway. He had a pretty darn impressive resume before the Cowboys. Before that "you could do that" moment, he was a Notre Dame grad, a former pro soccer player, married to an incredibly badass wife who was a lacrosse player at Notre Dame, and then a licensed pilot and aircraft dispatcher. She deserves her own video. And he had a nice corporate job in Dallas. But he didn't get complacent. He understood that good enough is a gilded cage. Once that spark was lit, he wanted something more for himself, and he was willing to put in the work over years to get it. So this week, I'm challenging myself and you to ask, where in my life am I being complacent? What's something that's just barely good enough, and that's keeping me from something that's much better? Okay, if you made it to the end of this video, you're awesome. Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Liking and subscribing really helps this new channel, and it helps me determine what types of new content that you might find helpful or interesting. If you're a business owner, creative professional, lawyer, entrepreneur, or in corporate, please check out my other YouTube channel, Legal Consideration, or visit legalconsideration.com to accelerate your own learning on all things law, business, and finance. You can also buy my newest fiction novel, Where Ice Meets Sky, available on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, and at select bookstores. It's an Odyssey-inspired Arctic survival and adventure story about courage, resilience, and leadership amidst impossible odds for a young adult audience, but with adult crossover appeal. And even if you don't do any of those things, I still appreciate you for turning into this episode. Until our next project, stay heavy and stay handy.